heard Padmini's story. You were on the live, you were listening to this. Can you introduce yourself to my audience so that they could know who you are?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. I am the elected district leader of Richmond Hill, called Little Guyana. Some refer to it as Big Guyana. I've been a magistrate and a judge and a prosecutor in Guyana before I came to the United States. Also became a lawyer here and was elected to represent the people. That is why I take no sides in this matter, except that I would like to see some sort of attention or resolution that these problems don't occur again, and also that justice is done in these circumstances. It is my duty as a district leader to bring peace and whatever to advise the community and to guide it in a way that individuals here can benefit from our expertise, from our experience, from our advocacy, Rhonda, and that is the whole purpose here. I hold no brief for Padmini nor Lakshmi. I respect both of them. I know, not that I'm very close to either of them, but I know of them from being in the community, and they're people of our community, and hence we have to embrace them and ensure that there's some sort of, reconciliation or some kind of meaningful, solution to these problems so that they don't occur again in the future.
Yes. So can you explain to us, you were on my live last night, right? You saw Lakshmi on my show last night. And we were talking about a profit, non-profit. And she gave us an explanation, but I really didn't understand because I don't know. So I don't know if she was saying what she was saying was correct. So can you break it down for us, how it works?
That would be problematic. I don't know if she took legal advice, but I believe that at some stage, if I'd known her personally in view of the allegations against her, I would have told her to get the services of a lawyer and to stop talking. However, that time has passed. And I don't think this will end up in a sort of a criminal case or anything like that. But here's the problem. Our community needs to understand, and I'll stop referring to her in a personal matter because I don't want her to feel offended that I'm just targeting her. But Section 501c3 was not meant for the beauty pageants and these purposes. As a matter of fact, I would invite them to go and look at the IRS laws. And it says clearly that it is you have this great benefit of tax exemption if you do relief for the poor, the distressed, or the underprivileged, or advancement of religion. And the problem with this is that you are in a nightclub, Rhonda, of all places. How can you claim religion that we were doing religious purposes or advancing our religion when there was no sort of religious input? There was a beauty input, there was a cultural input, but that is the question, whether that was indeed a Section 501c entity, and that's the first problem there. And from what Padmini is saying, there are lots of issues in here. You can't use, and I would refer to anyone's organization, but I'm just saying that you can't use a business transaction like a beauty pageant and then get contributions from people or donations and say, you know what, you're going to be tax exempt. So give me $5,000, as Padmini said, from, was it Singh's Roti Shop? I mean, eventually they would subpoena the records of Singh's Roti Shop if this were to go to, the authority she's talking about.
And there's another check that she just showed it from someplace else.
Yeah, that's very damning evidence because here it's written in another name. You can't use organizations like that. That's the basic thing of money laundering. You have to, use the money for the intention for what it was done. And you can't just use another organization's name and put the money in there and then bankrupt it.
Even if it's just to hold until you get your...
No, there's no kind of holding. Somebody talk about umbrella stuff, and they look for this stuff. They're not going to forgive you for saying, oh, you know what, I was just holding it, or I had an umbrella organization. It has to go through, and first of all, you got to get a tax ID before you hold this beauty pageants. These things don't seem to be complied with. And I think that is where the problem in this case is, that it could blow up big. And therefore, the money involved and the deductions, a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of our mandirs, a lot of our religious organizations, a lot of our the mosques and a lot of churches, synagogues and so on, what they would get away with, or people might not get away with. We've seen that happen in politics in Iran. They're gonna go after you because they're gonna make you a target. And you look at the mortgage things that we had. People came down on Liberty Avenue and felt this was a thriving community, and they hauled off a lot of people, And they didn't do that in other communities. Nor did they go after the big banks. But they will target communities like Richmond Hill because they feel it's ripe for the taking, it's ripe for the plucking. And hence that is why they sort of like bring the long arm of the law to get money from us, to confiscate properties, to go after stuff and things like that. Now, when you file the Form 990, it has to be the last 3 years. It is public record. You can go to any mandir. You don't even have to be a member of that mandir and said, Pandit, I need the last 3 years tax returns. You don't even have to put it in writing. His duty is to give you those tax returns or a copy thereof. And you have the right to scrutinize them, because the privilege of having a non-for-profit is that they don't pay taxes. When these religious organizations shop, they don't pay. They have reduced stamping. They have tax-free on clothes and on cars and gasoline and food and everything else. They don't pay federal and state tax. As a matter of fact, there's a list of things in the code, which is very, very impressive. So when they take advantage of those things or you don't comply with the law, they can come after you, and then you got to protect yourself, because they'll say that they don't pay state income, sales, and employment taxes. If you talked about Greg and some other people being employed, they'd want to know if he was paid a salary, he and the other folks like that. And you may be exempt from paying state income, sales, and employment taxes. You have access to reduced postal rates. You're exempt from paying federal unemployment tax, and you can receive tax exempt financing, like buying a car and buying a house. When the regular person would pay, taxes on that, you're exempt. So it's a great deal.
It's a privilege to have an organization.
Not a right. And if you abuse it, they can say, we want to see the last 3 tax returns. We're going to assess you now. And there's something called tax evasion. You don't just pay a fine, you go to jail for that. And right now, they're after the former president on issues of a much major kind on this. I'm not saying they're going to get involved in a case like this. I'm just warning the community that they need to be careful how they transact these businesses, how they raise money, how they hold these functions, how these events are conducted, how the financial stuff is being done. This thing was happening perhaps in a lot of, I'm not saying Latchme did this, anybody did this, but there may have been instances where there was this kind of pattern of criminality, but it was not detected. Now that it has gone all over the internet and much so, and I believe it's a wake-up call that we've got to get our act together in this community and make sure that we don't trigger a situation here, because this thing is very hot. I got calls from a lot of people as a district leader. I didn't want to get involved. A lot of people said that you need to do, to at least give your views on this and warn people. I said I can do that using my knowledge and expertise from Guyana and here and my legal background. But also you have to warn them before, we lose, you have all the mandates being closed and all the mosques and all the churches and so forth around this. So I'm trying to do a public service here instead of trying to destroy anyone or to criticize anyone. But at the same time, in order for us to go forward, we have to accept the frauds and the irregularities that here. And if there's a pattern, we've got to stop that. And the first thing we need to do right now is to put a hold on the Diwali pageant. I call upon all the elders of this community, especially the Dharmacharyas and the Pandits, to come together with everybody, come together and sit down. If you need people I can recommend, I would not have the time to do that because I'm busy lobbying the mayor and the governor for various things for our community, but they're very outstanding individuals of different denominations who can sit and then run the Diwali, because of the fact that what's going on here might only invite, more scrutiny, more investigations, stuff like that, and hence have to be careful with that. So what our community needs to do is to have, like for now, an interim committee broad-based so that they can then run the Diwali pageant. It's only for a year until this thing is, the Motorcade. And that's the only signature event in our community, and I believe it defines us as a people. You got a mayor coming here and people whisper to his ear that this whole thing going on and blah blah blah, and these checks and all these kinds of things. They protest about what I heard being planned. It will be a mess. So I believe that because you should love your religion. Those who profess to love their religion are doing this for religious purposes and not to make a buck, then they should accede to that request. That is not about them. It's about the community. Nobody holds a premium in Hinduism or on this community. I was elected by the people, so I have standing. They gave me that voice for them. You have to run for office and elect you. So I have that standing to address these issues. At the same time, I'm advocating for a broad-based committee from us, Not for people telling us what to come into our community, tell us what to do, whether it be, you know, different ethnicities or groups, but for us to be able to continue our propagate our culture, propagate our dharma, and to make sure that we continue to practice that great religion that, you know, that the fundamental right of religious freedom. We can't abuse it this way. But coming back to your issue about the legalities of this, you can form these kinds of organization to avoid you know, it can put you to a lot of trouble. And it seems as if somebody skirted the line here, or didn't know what was going on, or didn't follow advice, or didn't take advice. Padmini seems to have some legal standing to bring lawsuits to stop the pageant too, to ask for what money she's entitled to. I believe she mentioned a sum to you. Was it something $5,000, or you mentioned something like that?
Yeah, that's what I think that's what she said.
And what we got to be, what we have to understand is that if this goes before a judge and a judge said, hey, I need to see your receipts. I need to find out all the receipts. And then he said, no, I only got this one or two. He will then subpoena and send people to all these business places that if you give a check, bring it forward. I want to see it. And then he can hold an accountant. And then he can order the pageant to be stopped. And then he can say, well, you know what, this thing here, you got to give an accountant. You know, the Mandis were in court just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were, you know, Benny Madhu and so on. The Dharmacharya, they had two factions. And now again, years after, we have this sort of faction also where the community has been divided. So I don't think anybody should be that powerful or think themselves so powerful or selfish enough to hold their community to ransom and propagate themselves as if they are the end all and be all of power in this community. I think they need to step back. They to really, you know, so I heard talk of people going to the Mandis and what have you, take advice and counseling, and also make sure you get good advice from a group of accountants. And I've verified this position because it's a forensic subject and with IRS laws, and it's something that can affect the entire community. And when they come after one person, I don't expect them to stop, because they will say, you know what, this is a pattern. And that's a problem with this, because they could check back on all the pageants going back, and they could then initiate a class action lawsuit against people who've been holding pageants under the guise of a non-for-profit exercise. And so this is not non-for-profit. You need to pay taxes on this because it's a for-profit. And we don't accept your expenses. We don't accept that you declare the income. And hence, we're holding you for money laundering and also for tax evasion. I'm not saying they're going to do that, Rhonda.
Okay.
But my legal knowledge and my experience in dealing with matters like these for over 30 years in Guyana and here, and being very au fait with the law and doing the research, it is a problem that can I hope it does not become a problem for our community. But I don't like the sound, nor do I like the smell of it. I believe that it could really affect our community in a very big way.
Oh wow. What legal action would Padmini be able to take, though?
Well, if I was to advise, let's say for be the devil's advocate, and I was Padmini's lawyer, which I'm not. I'm not a lawyer for Lakshmi, nor am I the lawyer for
Okay, good.
But let's say at least our community will learn from this. There might be somebody who gone into a transaction with somebody, they don't know what the rights are. They can ask the court for an accountant, half of what they have, an implied partnership, although there's no written contract. And they'll be able to show why the contract was not written is because there was an intent to deceive me. But this is the money that's coming in, and I heard the money came from X, Y, and Z, and this one and that one. And the court brings together all the acts for all the receipts. So if you go against the court, you end up in contempt of court. So, but that now the court does an accounting. He brings in an accountant and said, okay, they're taking, let's say, let's just call this figure $150,000 was garnished or was collected from this exercise. And this person played a very important part. I think there was also admissions that it was her brainchild.
Yeah.
Based on that alone, she's entitled to say, well, this is my trademark. This is my baby. I created this and I got zero, or I'm left with liabilities. And hence she would be able to make that case. And the judge will say, no, I direct that half be given to you. They might end up seizing bank accounts and say, well, let's chop it in half and you take half and this is left for you. If the money, however, is not legal, they could say, well, you know what, we forfeit this money. They are known to forfeit people's property for mortgage and stuff and anything with financial thing. So financial fraud and so on. So I'm just advising you, if you think you're above the law, then so be it. If people feel that I don't know what I'm saying, then that's fine. As a district leader, I am warning you, as a person who's gone through the mill of life, both good and bad, there are problems in these kinds of transactions, and it affects everybody. The rain don't fall, as you know, Rhonda, on one person's house.
I know.
The rain does fall,
Doesn't.
and Richmond Hill is a thriving community. So don't expect them to say, oh, no, I'm not going to go into Richmond Hill. There are great people living there. Oh, no. They come into these communities and other communities. Do you know that they issue more traffic tickets here and parking tickets in Richmond Hill to get money than they would do in Howard Beach and those well-connected people in Glendale? So don't expect to get a pass on this. So this is what can happen in the court. That's what she's entitled to. You asked me for that. You can have civil and criminal cases running side by side. You can have a case in the Queen Supreme Court, and then she called the district attorney and the U.S. attorney and the attorney general. The attorney general brought a former president to his knees, got him before the court on how many indictments? 79. So this is not something that can go down. She can't invoke the law if she wants to, or if it gets to them. So what I'm trying to tell these folks, don't let this get to the level of that, to district attorney and to whatever you talk about. See if you guys can sit down and work this out, appease each other, do the accounting. Next time you have a pageant, don't collect donations, tell people that it's tax deductible and you can take that right off from the tax, because it's not. They're going to treat it as income. Declare all your deductions that you're entitled to, and file a clean slate, because Form 990, which is a form you have to file, that's up to the public. That's public record. They can produce it. They can ask for it. Anybody is entitled to it. Any John Blow could go to a mandir and say, I need to see your last 3 years tax returns. But, well, what right you got to do it here? And then, then that's when the IRS can step in and said, yes, that's our laws. You have to comply with the law or we will lock you up. So these are the kind of problems that you can have spiraling out of this.
Oh, wow. So this could raise a whole ant's nest.
If she comes up now and says, listen, I've been emotionally distressed, as many people claim, I may have lost $150,000, but I suffered $2 million in emotional distress. Or the other side, Lakshmi claims that whatever it is as a counterclaim, or however they work it, however they go after each other. Eventually, the court is going to rule that maybe more money than you need to get involved with. They need to get more money that's to get rid of this issue and sit down and work it out.
I know. I hope that they get it resolved before all this. But you don't think we should have the motorcade this year?
No, I'm saying we should have the motorcade, but it should not be the regular folks involved. Like I said, Diwali does not belong to a secluded class, so an exclusive group of cabal or divas or people. It belongs to everybody, the rich and the poor. Diwali is about, and I grew up in the country in Guyana, so I know about all this. I read the top to bottom in Guyana, so I know the whole landscape. Diwali is shedding light over darkness, bringing charity where there's none, bringing love in your heart, not to strut around and just show off on other people, as we say in Guyana, or pretend that you are the mother of this community. You're not. What you have to do is ensure that the grassroots is involved in everything you do. And that is why I've always been able to win elections. I'm the only person to win elections in this community, right up to the Senate. Lost by 500 votes, left the record, and now many people are running for office due to me. So my issue is that when you care for the grassroots and you have it in your heart, they will bless you, and you'll be able to rise over injustice like I have done and come back and fight, and they believe in you, and you'll be able to help them to get forward. People don't understand I don't get paid for what I do, Rhonda, but my satisfaction comes from the help I can give to people. I guess just with your show, you expose injustice. You don't look for money as far as I can see. So therefore, when it comes to that situation, they must be able to involve all the mandiers, all the people who want to get involved. If a Christian church wants to come and talk about it, a priest or whatever, let them do so. Don't look for mayors and governors and this one and that, to sort of justify. Where were these people all our life? Where were these people when we were fighting for Diwali? So, you know, Little Guyana and Richmond Hill belongs to the working class. It belongs to us. It belongs to the poor people. It belongs to people who need to be uplifted. So what I am saying is that I don't know what the date is, the 4th or whatever. Make sure you involve everybody. I'm not saying Padmini and Lakshmi should not sit on that committee. I'm just saying that the committee should not be hijacked or monopolized by a group of
One
people. It
group of
must
people.
open. It must consist of both sexes, from people of all denominations, especially the Hindu Pandit, the Dharmacharis. We have 2 Dharmacharis. Get them involved. They're respected people. Pandit Ram Hardawar. He's a very respected, you know, have him there. You see, Pandit Ramlal made a mistake. He said, let Diwali go to whosoever got to go to. And he went to Pagwa. But as a Dharmacharya and a legendary Pandit, he should have made sure Diwali is equally important with Pagwa. That is actually the message is universal. You know, the light of the end in the White House. Barack Obama, when I was there in the White House, they celebrated that. They consider it a big thing because it's a universal message, light over darkness. What other transcendental message can you have than a triumph of good over evil? So why should we only have this one parade or this one event, and we go there and we hero worship these folks, and there's no and then people feel excluded? I don't think that's right. You should have everybody involved.
I think so too.
I
agreed. That's the question that I asked last. Like, why is only one person doing it? Why don't they do a rotation? Let this man do it this year, that man do it, and get everybody involved. Why is it one person just hosting this thing?
Right. And you have the 2 Dharmacharis, Pandit Chunilal Narayan, you have Pandit Hardawar. They're very competent enough to head this, you know. And you have all the Bahins and Bais and so on to be there, including Padmini and Lakshmi with the problems, and sit down and work it out. You know, it's not a monetary thing. Stop focusing on the money. Focus on the spirituality of it. Like when I run for office, I don't focus on money. I never got money from politics, but I focus on the fact that we can have a voice and we can have respect. And people will say, you know what, them is not second-class citizens. Them, they're rich and powerful Guyanese, and they don't depend on anybody for a cent. They don't ask anybody for nothing. And we must respect them. And that is beginning to happen. If you notice, they put Little Guyana, and now they call it Big Guyana when President Ali came here. We command respect. We demand it. And they have to respect it because nobody built this here. This was a rundown community from the Italians that we built up. And we're mighty proud of it. And I'm proud to say I've been there for over 40 years. Probably many of them passed through my office with green cards and citizenship. I'm proud to know what I've done. I actually suffered politically, but I rose again to show them that, you know, they're not going to validate me. They're not going to dictate to me what my life is going to be. My faith will stand and carry me through. And thank God. And thank Lord Rama, it has carried me so far, so good.
Well, I'm glad that you cleared that up first because, like I said, when it comes to stuff like this, I've never been a part of it. I just saw this whole pageant thing and I just got involved because the thing that I dislike about this Richmond Hill, nobody speaks out, nobody stands up. People got platforms and don't say nothing.
Yeah,
so I don't understand what's the job that they're really doing.
Then when the big truck come for all of them, then they're gonna say, you know, I better should have listened to Baldeo, you know. That man, I should have listened to him. Now I got, you know, they're too proud to learn, some of them. They think money is all. You got a Benz, you got a house, I've lived the American dream. And then they figure out, well, you know, what do I have to worry about? Not knowing that Uncle Sam is always watching us. And therefore, the American dream is the ability to protect those under and after you, to leave a legacy like I have done, that you don't do this, you watch your back with this, because it's the same very people you help, Rhonda. They're the first people going to pull you down or testify against you. With the same contestants, so when a subpoena starts flying around the place,
they can start screaming.
Everybody running and testified because they say, I want to go to jail.
They're running around.
And they said that even if they got to sing somebody, you know, Trump, 2 lawyers actually took guilty pleas to testify against him. So let that be a lesson that when the SA hits the fan, run away, they're only run to you when you can help them. So I'm trying to avoid this before it's too late. I figure that someone listening to me, if Lakshmi is listening, or if
give me one second. Guys, stop calling my phone. I'm on the live. If y'all see me on the live, you cannot call me or send these questions in. Wait till after. Yes, continue, Albert.
So, you know, Diwali must be run by an interim committee. And people can volunteer their time. I can help in some way. I don't want pay. I don't want a recognition. If you feel I'm from the untouchables or I'm a Harijan, then fine, exclude me. But all I'm saying, as a district leader, I'm here to provide guidance. I'm here to help, and I'm here to offer my knowledge.
Do you think that people should support that protest that I'm hearing about?
Well, people have a right to protest in this country, and they've protested over less. And you know what? Diwali is so close to people and their hearts. The whole symbol, the whole message of Diwali and how it's been handled in the past, that people have a closeness to the whole concept of triumph over, and the spring. It's like, you know, getting into the new year. It's a new year for Hindus. That is our culture. That is our heritage. And it's part of all of us. So you're right, yes. I think that people have the right to protest. Protest is sanctioned by the American Constitution. I heard somebody saying, well, my cops are going to come and lock you up, or my boyfriend with the precinct. That's all rubbish. You cannot, no cop can supervene the Constitution.
Peaceful protest, that's it.
Protests, which can sometimes get loud as long as you're not burning and bashing people. And I would hate to hold a pageant. The next thing you got a whole set of protests saying, and I'm a thief, and I'm a this, and I'm a that, and I did this, and open up my, you know, you don't need that. So what I am saying is that the money and the headache is not worth it. They should just lie low for a while. Let it see. And perhaps they'll be able to say, you know what, it was good when this person had it. Because look at what, and therefore we should stand behind her. Let's make this thing work, and let's make this thing a genuine thing.
Unless you give somebody a chance, you wouldn't see what other people can do.
Well,
you gotta give,
And some people have actually complained to me how they were excluded, how they were, I don't think they were saying they were sexually abused, but they were thrown out, they were treated like garbage. That's why I brought that Harijan term, that they felt like that they were like untouchables. You know, in India, you really can't mix with the higher classes, no people father. Well, that's all BS in America. That doesn't exist. So get out your mind. In America, you want to live like that, go back to India. So that doesn't obtain in America. In America, America is equal. Everybody's equal. The butcher is equal to the taxi driver, as like my father was, and is equal to the lawyer, is equal to the doctor that his children became. We're all equal. So we should have no false airs and graces. And those with the least education sometimes pull off these airs and graces to become divas. That's how they, you know, they carry themselves. So sometimes you look at these people and you really have to understand that you know, they're coming from a position of loneliness or a position of weakness, and therefore you don't bother with them. But getting back to what you were saying, I'm not saying that the Diwali pageant should not be held this year. I'm saying but the motorcade, it should be held. Please don't use recycled clothes for people taking part, people children, and this kind of stuff. Big them up, make them feel good. The money must be shown how it's spent. People will get money.
Yeah.
It will grow bigger and better. You don't have to do what a party seems to be going on, creating another company, a shell company, and funneling money through it, and then bringing it all back to the motorcade account.
Yeah.
And because it's a non-for-profit, that is like, you know, that's like hiding the money. That's not legal. That's a crime.
Yeah, I know. This is really bad. I don't like it.
Advice now, probably are saving themselves a long jail sentence, because tax evasion is like 20 years in federal prison.
That much?
So, yeah, Baldeo said this and I said that. Take my advice, even if you consider stupid, to those who are affected in this issue, and follow it. At some stage, you might be able to thank me down the road that now that I've gotten a better understanding of how the laws in America work, I will not, I'm now collecting, I'm accounting, and everything is all fine and regular with me. And I don't have anybody looking at me, and I have to look over my shoulder, you know. And because when I ran for office, nobody guided us. You had to learn or fall, but because I was the only one. I was like a trailblazer. I was a pioneer. There was no path for me. I couldn't come and PN. I had to run from my own and build. So thankfully, I have somebody. They should be thankful to have somebody who could shed some light on this, and to tell them what they need to get done and how they can bring peace. And I like your approach to it, that we should reconcile and we should have each other's backs and that chat. What other time of the year, Rhonda, than Diwali or Pagwa, that you should have this coming together of hearts? This is the
Yes.
time. If you are a true Hindu, Lakshmi and Padmini, if you are true Hindus and of the Hindu culture, then you should forgive each other. You should sit at a table of sisterhood and then work this out and let this go past and mend everything up and so on. And let's get our community intact, because it's a great community. You go to other places, you don't feel like you belong. This is our home. This is Little Guyana. This is what we have built. This is what we spent so many years. Those who have been in the trenches here when it was a rundown community from 1986, like I was, and my brother, Dr. Baldeo, and all the folks here, know what it is to have seen this community transformed and have a very important part to play in it, and never left. And we as the elders there would like to see that continue to a very good and meaningful and happy conclusion, Rhonda.
Yes.
And that is my prayer.
I want it to just resolve. It's a lot.
Yeah, that is my prayer to Lord Krishna.
Yes.
That this is
Let
done.
them resolve it, yes.
Yes, let them resolve it. But there are many issues here, as you said. As I told you, there's a lot of criminal and civil issues here. And I think if Padmini goes to the lawyer, they would definitely say we have a case here. This is the thing. So somebody's got to give, and somebody's got to give in and put their pride and say, well, listen, you know what? I never had that chance. Therefore, you need to work together, Stop dividing this community. You don't need that. Work together. Show you the bigger heart. Show you the bigger person. Put your personalities at the door. I always tell people, park that outside. Don't bring that in here. Let's sit down at a table here of government, or let's sit down at a table of unity, and let's talk, and let's be equal, and that's the way. Sit on the floor. Let them go and sit on the floor in the mandir, the back. Have a nice 7 curry, and let's sit down and talk. I don't know you're bringing anybody. They're gonna help because I'm like, it's better the two of them work it out. We were friends. Things happened, I'm sorry I did this to you. I'm sorry you did this to me, and so forth. Here's the money. Here's whatever it is. You said, told me make 150,000. Me make. Sure, this is what we make. Whatever.
Forensic audit would do that, though, right?
Oh, forensic audit turns up everything. When you establish the forensic audit, that's not a nice thing. They turn up everything in the books going back for years, and they don't stop. And they bring everything, and then it steamrolls. Then you find another event that they had problems with, and it develops into a class action lawsuit, meaning that
it's like a domino effect too, right?
Domino effect, and you got all the worms coming out of the woodwork, and you suddenly want to say, well, what the hell hit me there? I'm in deep, you know what? So yes, forensic audit can be implemented by the courts. I've seen them done that. And before that is done, lawyers always say, let's settle. Listen, forget about that. Exactly. Lawyers, to protect the clients. And so, listen, no, we're not going to. Let's get that. That's
the whole can of worm we opened up there.
But not only that, you heard the lady mention, Padmini mentioned things like district attorney and attorney general. I think she said U.S. attorney. And I mean, these are not small players. And you see, that is what they're there for. They build their career on this. And they love the limelight. So when they get somebody like that, they would want to say, well, this is how it is. We've grabbed some people here. Look at them, how different they are, and where they're coming from. They've been in Richmond Hill, they've been doing this all the time. Look what we got here. You know what I'm saying? It's not a typical drug dealer. It's not a typical murderer. It's not a typical bank fraud. As a matter of fact, they won't even go after the bank fraud people in Manhattan who got his private jets and private helicopters. They don't have those people well connected. They would go after our people and make them an example. And then people will say, and I've heard people say this, oh, you from Richmond Hill. And then it started throwing insults. Like how they used to say from Guyana, you're from Jonestown, you're from the mudland, you're from this, and you're from that. Yeah. Now they're like getting jobs. When I went to Trinidad as a young law student, I was just 19. The man looked at me and said, if you open your mouth, I would send you back on the next flight. The Trinidad customs officer. I didn't tell this man anything. And he was a black man. And he was racist. And I had to I had to bite my tongue, Rhonda. And I told myself that whenever I become a lawyer, and whenever I walk out of here and be able to complete my studies, I will make sure that nobody takes advantage. My father was not a very wealthy man. He was not well connected. But I've been through hardship and I've seen what it is to be put down. So I can live it.
I got one more guest want to come on. Thank you so much, Albert, for explaining and breaking this all down. But I'm going to try to get back Padmini on with her guests so that we could wrap this up.
Sure.
And we're going to talk.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
We got some stuff to do.
I'm not afraid to speak. You need me on anything, I will tell you the best of my knowledge. I did a lot of research on this, and I spoke to a lot of accountants, and I thought in the interest of my community, I should come on and let them know that, guys, let's go down that road. It's a bitter road for all of us. Let's end this. And Diwali spirit must prevail. The love of Diwali.
I want to at least get unity among at that time.
Right.
This is the festival of lights, and it's bare darkness.
Heart, you're not even supposed to be a Hindu nor a Guyanese. You should even be holding a Diwali pageant.
The motorcade, yeah.
Or motorcade away, or whatever it is. You know, I'm sorry. I keep mixing up pageant with motorcade.
But the motorcade, I know, I figure because
they did mix up the Lotus Beauty pageant with the motorcade. So, and that's commingling. And you know, that's another
Yes, it is commingling.
You know, it's not my fault. It's because the sort of mixing up what's going on here with the issues, and then let me start doing this. And you know, there's a better way of doing things.
Thank you so much. Thank you for breaking it down. Thank you for coming out and speaking up. A lot of people just sit down and do absolutely nothing. So I praise you for just coming forward and saying it like it is.
Just
okay.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. And I just get it. When you hear the line, you know I'm coming with something. So we're going to talk. I'm going to give you a call tomorrow.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. Okay, I'm going to try to get Padmini back on now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, now I see how to do change.